10 Surprisingly common ways to die in your sleep. Getting enough sleep is one of the most important building blocks of a healthy lifestyle, right behind eating a balanced diet and exercising regularly. But did you realize that falling asleep might be harmful as well? When you close your eyes and fall asleep, a lot of things can truly go wrong. For some people, the danger is so great that they never wake up again. An old Greek proverb claims that death and sleep are actually brothers, with death serving as the flawed embodiment of sleep and sleep as its perfect counterpart. Most of the time, sleep has long been thought of as an automatic, passive, bodily process. However, the truth is that while we sleep, our brain is actually highly active. It's also true that there are a lot of questions surrounding sleep that haven't been fully answered by contemporary science. As it turns out, even after our conscious minds shut off and our bodies enter the sleep state, there are still some strange, and occasionally frightening, things happening. And occasionally, the outcomes might be very terrifying. 10 cases of sudden cardiac arrest. The sinoatrial node, which serves as your body's natural pacemaker and is located in the heart, can get damaged, resulting in sudden cardiac arrest, commonly known as SCA. In other words, this ailment happens when the heart's electrical systems go wrong. And in certain instances, the first few minutes are fatal. What makes it kill? In essence, it decreases the blood supply to the brain. What's the scariest aspect, then? Not only is it possible, but in half of the cases, no warning signs exist prior to cardiac arrest. 9 Carbon monoxide intoxications. An excessive amount of the colorless, odorless gas known as carbon monoxide, or CO, can be fatal if it enters the lungs. The vapors produced by operating stoves, grills, fireplaces, gas ranges, furnaces, and other appliances can include carbon monoxide, CO, which can be nearly impossible to detect without a carbon monoxide detector in use. What makes it kill? Basically, breathing it in can become harmful if enough of it accumulates in a small enough area. Additionally, if you breathe in enough of it, simply having it in your lungs may be sufficient to definitively close the deal. If the person is conscious, they can feel weak, dizzy, have a headache, or have an upset stomach. But what if you are asleep when it happens? Well, when sleeping, a person may not show any signs and still pass away. 8 Coronary infarctions. A myocardial infarction, more generally known as a heart attack, can occur while a person is sleeping, but happily, the chances are strong that the victim will be awakened before the event kills them. When blood supply to a portion of the heart is impeded, heart attacks occur. Part of the heart muscle may be destroyed by this obstruction. What makes it kill? The heart may not be able to pump any blood to the rest of the body if enough cardiac tissue is destroyed. If prompt medical attention is not sought, this could lead to heart failure, which could be fatal. The frightening issue is that, unfortunately, if someone is having a heart attack while asleep, they usually can't get help. 7 types of obstructive sleep apnea. The main symptom of central sleep apnea is that the patient's breathing periodically stops and starts while they are unconscious. It occurs when the brain fails to properly communicate electrical signals to the muscles that regulate breathing during sleep and is thought to be caused by a malfunction in the brainstem. What makes it kill? Hypoxemia, which occurs when oxygen levels in the body fall below those needed for proper life function, may develop if the case of apnea is severe enough. In essence, this causes oxygen deprivation. The prognosis may be fatal if the brain is unable to awaken the body in time for it to take a breath. Unaccounted for nocturnal death syndrome 6. Unquestionably, this is one of our list's most strange additions. The earliest cases of SUNDS, or unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, were among Southeast Asian Hmong refugees in America and Canada in 1977. Since then, both in books and in the seedier parts of the internet, it has developed a reputation for being rather terrifying. Bangungit is the term used in the Philippines, dream disease in Hawaii, and Lai Tai, which translates to sleep and die, in Thailand. Although the exact cause of death in cases of SUNDS is still unknown, the presentation seems to be constant. Basically, it causes otherwise healthy young people to pass away suddenly in their sleep. What makes it kill? Although it regularly occurs in Southeast Asia, scientists are still unsure of the cause. They suspect a variety of potential reasons, ranging from ion channel failures to ventricular fibrillation. 5 brain aneurysms. A brain aneurysm, sometimes referred to as a cerebral aneurysm, is essentially a weak point in the blood vessel wall in the brain. It resembles a thin balloon that fills with blood in certain ways. The artery weakens and swells over time as blood pumps through it. If the pressure builds up too much, a rupture may happen. What makes it kill? The bleeding that results from an aneurysm rupture often only lasts a few seconds. However, the blood can raise the pressure inside the skull and harm nearby brain cells. If the pressure rises excessively, the situation could quickly become lethal. 4D68 enterovirus. Even though this is one of our list's less well-known items, it is nevertheless incredibly disturbing. The non-polio enterovirus, known as enterovirus D68, EVD68, was initially discovered in California in 1962. However, in 2014, there was a significant increase in the number of cases that were recorded, leading researchers to question whether the virus will become more common than they had anticipated in the years to come. The unsettling aspect of EVD68 is that, despite frequently causing mild to severe respiratory sickness symptoms, it can also occasionally go undetected. Despite this, medical professionals believe the condition could be more hazardous in the U.S. than Ebola. What makes it kill? It has become a dreaded sign of infection due to its propensity to induce particularly severe respiratory issues, which are marked by a high-pitched wheezing sound. Perhaps even more frightful than the wheezing is the association with muscle weakness and spinal cord inflammation. Although it is rare for someone to pass away from an infection, sometimes the symptoms are deadly enough to do so, even if the person is asleep. 3 dry drownings. The majority of us are aware that you may drown in water. This is common knowledge, but many people have no idea what the term dry drowning means. It turns out to be a really gruesome method of passing away. The basic concept behind this risk is that it is a sort of drowning that can still happen even after the victim has exited the water. Although some doctors have urged the abolition of the phrase dry drowning, it has come to be used to describe what is technically still drowning. It can happen if even a few drops of water that are inhaled make it past the throat and into the lungs. Although symptoms are frequently present, they might occasionally be subtle and easy to ignore. The unsettling aspect is that breathing issues could develop over time as a result of this water. These breathing issues might occasionally manifest hours or even days after the person has gone to sleep. When you consider all deaths that may be attributed to drowning, so-called dry drowning is actually quite uncommon, yet that fact does not make it any less terrible. What makes it kill? In essence, it causes the sufferer to suffocate by depriving them of oxygen. 2. Heart attack of the widowmaker. The widowmaker is usually an anomaly, even though most heart attacks have a good possibility of causing their victims to become aware before they pass away. Heart attacks in general have already been covered on this list, but this specific infarction type merits its own entry. Why? Because it's one of the most deadly heart attacks that can happen. It occurs when the left anterior descending artery, commonly known as the left major artery, becomes obstructed. The term comes from the fact that a complete blockage of this artery nearly always results in death without prompt emergency care. What makes it kill? Heart muscle is harmed when heart attacks are caused by sufficiently severe obstructions. Additionally, the outcome may be lethal if the muscle is severely injured and cannot pump blood. 1. Snoring that is obstructive. Obstructive sleep apnea, OSA, is a sleep disorder in which the sufferer's breathing periodically pauses and resumes while they are asleep. The most prevalent form of sleep apnea, OSA, also happens to be the most likely cause of a person dying while they are asleep. A blockage of the airway is the actual cause of this type of sleep apnea. Although the muscles and tissues of the tongue, uvula, tonsils, and soft palate may also be involved, drooping throat muscles are typically the culprit. Sleep apnea is thought to affect up to 22 million Americans, but because 80% of cases go undiagnosed, it is really a silent killer that many people are unaware of. What makes it kill? When someone with OSA stops breathing, their blood oxygen levels plummet suddenly. OSA may be the catalyst for a sudden cardiac event in people who are already at risk for a heart attack, stroke, or heart failure. In certain situations, the person might not even have a chance to wake up before they pass away. That's for now. We appreciate you for being here. View more our channel videos.